Welcome to the Diva Deets, the ultimate podcast for women over 40 who are ready to take control of their health, ditch the diets, and lose weight for good. I'm your host and coach, Danya Powers, and today we're talking about hot flashes, weight gain, and what the hell happened to my body. That is what we are focused on today. Real talk, real strategies, real results without shame. So go ahead and grab your water, lace up your sneakers, or just settle in and let's dive into today's episode. Ladies, I know you've all thought about this, or maybe just kind of whispered it to yourself in the mirror, and that is just, what the hell happened to my body? It just doesn't feel the same. It doesn't look the same. And I say it with love because I've said it too. I said it this morning. I was looking at the mirror. There's a mirror literally above my bed, and I was getting dressed, and I was just like, I've always taken, as good a care of her as I can, but what has happened? What the hell has happened to my body? Maybe you woke up one day and realized that nothing fit the way it used to. You're eating less, you're moving more, and the scale is being, at best disrespectful. You are hot, you're bloated. We are hot for our age, but you are genuinely hot. I talked to women. There was a woman literally that came to take my yoga class the other day. I do an outdoor yoga. She brought her own portable fan. And I'm talking, it was a fan that we could all feel from that direction. You're hot, you're bloated, you're tired. You don't even recognize that woman that's looking back at you. And listen, it's not about the pounds. It never has been. It honestly hasn't been. It's about the identity shift that really nobody warned us about. So let's talk about it because what really nobody tells you about this season is a lot of unspoken things that really need to be talked about. And we're going to get really personal. I'm sure I probably should have prepared my producer for that today, but we're going to talk about our bodies pretty intimately today. Let's get it out of the way. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're not failing. I know I say that to you all the time, but please remember that. Please absorb that. But you know what? You are right. Your body has changed. Pretending like you can bounce back like you're 25 it's a trap. It's stupid thinking. So I'm going to talk to you about my hysterectomy. You may or may not have heard my hysterectomy story, but I had a hysterectomy last November. And during the hysterectomy, I had an expectation, and then I had what happened. My expectation was what my doctor had prepared me for. And what my doctor had prepared me for was, it's a super easy comeback. You're going to feel pretty bad for about 6 weeks or so, and you can walk as much as you want. I don't care if you do that. I don't want you lifting weights for about 8 weeks, and then you're going to be fine. That is all that was explained to me. I did not expect to get to the other side of it and have a lot of internal pain. And when I asked about it, she said, that's abnormal. And she literally goes, you must have IC, which is interstitial cystitis. It's something that happens in the bladder. So they did a treatment for it in office that day with really out any notification. And if you don't know this, or if you've never had one of those treatments, you need to make sure somebody drives you for that. That doesn't need to be something spontaneous, because what happened to me was I became very inebriated from it, and I couldn't drive. I had to sit in my car for about 2 hours before the effects of that wore off, almost immediately as they started doing the treatment. And it's where they numb your bladder, and then they pump it full of ibuprofen-y kind of stuff to kill the pain, and then comes back out. And it did relieve the internal pain that I was having, but that wasn't the internal pain that I was having. So that was roughly about 2 weeks after the surgery, believe it or not, that they were already being that invasive. And then I didn't have another appointment with my doctor until week 6, but at week 4, I started pelvic floor therapy. I had scheduled pelvic floor therapy for a couple of reasons. First of all, just in case my pelvic floor got weak, because in my mind I had helped so many postpartum women that was a possibility, because that's what it felt a lot like to me, was postpartum. And so I had scheduled the pelvic floor therapy. But what I didn't know was that my physical therapist, whom I cannot wait to have Emily Pace on here, she's going to be a guest speaker on a podcast at some point, hopefully this fall. And she taught me everything about my pelvis. And so she was like, when I said I'm having internal pain, her response was, of course you are. You just had a major organ removed. And then she pulled out her little pelvis and she showed me how my cervix had been removed, how my uterus had been pulled out, where my pain was happening. And then she told me why it was happening, where my doctor just immediately started injecting drugs in me for a condition that I didn't have, versus my pelvic floor therapist telling me your pelvic floor is too tight. Because what do we do when we're tense or stressed? We are like hugging everything up, right? We are tucking everything in. And she taught me how to smooth the area. As soon as I smoothed the area, the pain went away. And so I literally had just the wrong information. And so the reason I'm telling you that is because, first and foremost, do you have an authority to go to? Doctors are not always filled with the information. I mean, you would have thought I could ask anything of my doctor and she would not answer any of my questions. She always sent a nurse or someone else into the room or something like that. And you would have thought too, like a tight pelvic floor, ladies, I mean, we'd think, oh, that's a good thing. It's not. That's a bad thing. That means we're holding and harboring tension in the center of our body. We have to learn how to smooth out the pelvic floor. So I'm gonna give you an exercise. This is just bonus. I don't necessarily have this in my notes today, but if you will do happy baby pose, which is on your back with your feet in the air, put pressure on your feet and focus on breathing very deeply. Don't clench your jaw and relax. That's the best way to smooth that area. And so happy baby pose rocked my world. Even though as a yogi, I do it all the time, I wasn't doing it for that purpose. And so I changed my intention. Every single time I do that pose, I do it with the intention of making sure that I am smoothing my pelvic floor area. But post hysterectomy was very humbling for me because one of the biggest things that I did not think about was, 10 years ago when I was going through my perimenopause, menopausal weight gain, fun, 10 pounds every year till I hit 50 pounds. I didn't expect to have a setback like this. So I didn't feel well enough to lift weights until about 12 weeks. I'm not going to lie. I was trying to lift weights, but I was very weak. I lost so much muscle by 12 weeks that just doing one set of a workout was literally all I could do because post hysterectomy tired was like first trimester tired. I was that tired. I would have to take a nap every day. And so I had to really gradually work back into that. It was incredibly humbling to have to go back through what I already learned. And here's the difference. I will be 50 next year. So when I was going through my menopausal weight gain, that was 10 years ago. Now I'm going through my perimenopausal weight gain. Now I'm going through this post-hysterectomy weight gain, which some of you can relate to. I'm older. Things are different. I have new weird things happening at this age. So what I did was partner up with this age because even as a coach, it didn't take my frustration away in this. And so I think the biggest question, I was like, why is this so hard for me? I've watched ladies around me have hysterectomies. It's not any big deal, but I'm also looking at these ladies and some of them are they've got pot bellies and skinny legs. So they're walking through menopausal gain and we don't want that. That's not what we want. We want to feel strong at this age, but I want you to know this is normal. It was normal for me. It doesn't have to be permanent, and it's not permanent for me because I'm working through it. I'm loads beyond, but it took me a solid 5 months to start lifting weights to the point that I was lifting before the hysterectomy. That's how long it took me to put the muscle back on. And it was like solid with my food, solid with my sleep, and then just really focused. About 5 months in, I started feeling like myself again. So if you have had a hysterectomy, stay really focused with your workouts. Do not do high intensity stuff. That is for the birds and it is not going to serve you at this stage. It will not. You already have hormones kind of out of whack. Don't do something crazy, right? The other thing that I was not told, even though I asked about it, I went back at the 6-week appointment and I was like, I have started hot flashes. My doctor's response was, that's not normal. I'm sorry that you're going through that. It must have just been time for your time of life. When I went to my pelvic floor therapist, Emily said to me, that's totally normal. Your ovaries just lost their main blood supply. So now they're in shock. So starting through menopause, they're kind of dying a little. Is normal, right? Nobody had true answers except for my pelvic floor therapist. If you get nothing out of this, go see Emily Pace at the Nest in Knoxville if you're in Tennessee. But she will take really, really good care of you. But I think for me, there was just so much weirdness that I really felt isolated and ill-equipped, even as a coach, even with all of my knowledge, even with the setbacks that I have overcome. It was completely humiliating to walk through weight gain again, yet again, in front of the whole world, especially since, social media world can be unbelievably cruel. And so the little dudes in their underwear in their grandma's house are super mean about anybody that's trying to be a fitness coach that doesn't have the perfect body, which I've never tried to have the perfect body. And in fact, most of my clients are refreshed by that, but at the same time, that's not what it's for. I want to be a voice for the unspoken, the unsaid, all of these things that I needed answers to that my OBGYN either didn't have the answers for or refused to tell me. I don't know what the difference was. I don't know why that happened, but let's talk perimenopause and menopause. Just plain midlife weirdness because we've got hot flushes happening. We've got sleep disturbances happening, mood swings, bloating, weight gain around our belly that won't budge. And the old advice was always eat less and move more. And even though I've done podcast after podcast after podcast of telling you that, how many of you are still doing that? There's one lady that follows me. She does every challenge. She never signs up for any kind of coaching. She does every single challenge. But I can promise you, she is still struggling with eat less, move more. She will walk, walk, walk and eat less. She will walk, walk, walk and eat less. She doesn't do her strength training. She's not adding more protein consistently. And so trying to lose weight the old way in this midlife body, it's like trying to use your childhood diary to solve your adult problems. Dear diary, it's just not going to work. You were, fairly much a potential moron when you were 12. We don't want to be that way when we're 49. Let's get out of that, right? It might have worked once, but your body has new rules now. It honestly does. So what do? We're going to stop fighting our body like it's the enemy because it's not. It needs you to work with it. It's desperately craving your attention and time right now. We are going to stop punishing it into submission. Again, it's desperately craving your time and attention right now. You cannot punish it for that. You need to work with it. We're going to support it. We're going to fuel it. We're going to build it up and not break it down again. We're not shrinking down away from this, okay? The emotional weight of this season is a big part of it. So I don't want to go through this podcast and not hit that because it is like a death. We have the way that things used to work, how we used to be. All of these things are still in our head, and we're a new creature. It's like being reborn. It really, really is. And so let me tell you about my client from this morning. If you're local to me, I do in-person measurements. I offer that for free with my service. So you can come see me at my home gym, which is Co Strength and Fitness, 69070 Emory Valley Road in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. But they come in, they do a measurement with me. And we run through and I set them up in a spreadsheet where they can see where their measurements are. They can look at their pictures. I can give them some advice. I can adjust their food at that time. I also do weekly check-ins, et cetera, et cetera. But anyways, my client this morning came in. This is her first month with me. She's down 6 pounds and 5 inches. She's 63 years old. 63. That's amazing progress. And she was sitting there beating herself up because last night she had a slice of pizza. And she's new, but it hit me in the gut because I was like, how many of us are doing that every single day? So I really talked to her. I really just was like, having a piece of pizza is not going to undo 5 weeks of work with me. It's not. So you don't need to be beating yourself up. That's the wrong mentality. And then the other side of it is that we talked through understanding that scientists have proven over and over and over, we enjoy the first 3 bites. After that, it's mechanics. So you need to take the time and really savor those first 3 bites. And then I gave her some strategies. Take your 8 p.m. snack and bump it up if your family's going to have pizza so that you have some good dense nutrients in you before you devour the pizza. And then really savor it. I mean, light a candle with that sucker. Spend some time enjoying the pizza, right? Because we're seeing progress. We're surviving. I feel like we're just trying too damn hard to be perfect. And we're so conditioned to believe that we're doing it wrong that we can't even celebrate what we're doing right. And that was where I got with her this morning. We really had a great one-on-one talk because it's kind of like running a marathon, tripping 10 feet from the finish line. And a marathon takes months and months and months of training. You've just run anywhere from 3 to 6 hours. You've tripped at the finish line and you just lay there and you're like, whatever. No, you get up and you finish. You don't lay down and fail and say, oh, I didn't fail. You get up and you finish. Even if your dad comes out, that's one of the most moving things when that dad came out on the track to help his son finish when he cramped up through his hamstring. Everybody has seen that. And his dad and the officials were like, you can't be down here. And he was like, you will go away. I am helping my son finish this race. And he was yelling at everybody, right? That's what we need. We need that partnership. We need to know that we can finish this race. You didn't fail because you had a slice of pizza. It's called being human. And when we're human, somewhere between hot flashes, hysterectomy scars, the stress, the to-do list, the people that we have to take care of, the babies, the grandbabies, we forget what living looks like. And sometimes that's enjoying a piece of pizza. You know what I'm saying? And so I really brought her back to her her reason for why were you having pizza? Did you take the time to enjoy that? Because it was for a celebration for one of her kids or for support for one of her kids. And so that was an important piece of pizza. We forget that health is just isn't just macros and steps. It's joy, it's strength, it's identity. And that's such an important part of what we teach in empowered coaching with the divas, because we want you to feel like yourself again. I think that that is the greatest gift that I could give a woman. Take all of this damage that we've done and somehow be reborn. It's a big deal. And if you haven't felt like that in a while, you're not alone. I want you to know how to reclaim your power. So let me be real with you. You don't need another diet. You don't need another plan that's built for some 35-year-old man. Did you know most of the plans out there are built for 35-year-old men, or some 25-year-old Instagram fitness model who has good genetics? You need a plan that works with your life. And that is what we do here. If this episode hit home, it's probably because you are ready to stop DIYing your health. And that's exactly what I help people do. That's exactly what I help women do in my one-on-one coaching program. We build a plan around your real life where pizza might be involved, your real schedule where things might fall apart consistently, and your real body, not some perfection cookie cutter quick fix. That is not what we're about here. And in fact, if you're looking for that coach, it's not me. So you need to just go ahead and turn off this podcast. Okay. But if you want some personal support and strategy and someone in your corner who's going to come down to the track and tell everybody, get out of my way, we're finishing this race, message me the word ready, because I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. We've got openings right now. I have got 5 openings coming up in July, the month of July 2025. I would love to work with you. You can find me on my website at www.empowereddcoaching.com. And listen, you're not crazy. You are absolutely not lazy. You're just in a season that needs a new strategy. And I don't want you to forget that. Let's get you one. And you know what? Until next time, stay strong, stay consistent, and stay fabulous, my divas.
Thanks for tuning into this latest episode of the Diva Deets. If this helped you and you found it valuable, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Ready for more support? Join my free Facebook community or join my coaching community. The details are in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, stay strong, stay consistent, and stay fabulous, my divas.